What pics or it didn't happen story do you actually have pictures for? I was high as a kite in Kenya and really wanted to ride an ostrich. Eventually, I called up a local ostrich farm, begged and paid more money than I cared to admit. An hour and a bit later. I've shared this before, so it's what came to mind. A chainsaw carving competition in Vancouver. They had 5 minutes to make a chair out of a tree stump. Everyone was carving their chairs, and one guy was just stabbing this stump over and over in weird ways with the chainsaw. We had no idea what he was doing. Then he made one last cut, and 4 tiny chairs and a table came flying out of the pieces of this log. It was incredible that I own a straight razor. Edit. I appreciate all the comments of people I look like, but you Tweetopia clearly wins with this. I mean, besides the blood, it looks like a pretty decent shave. Yes, my dear. Besides your head lying over there by the toilet, the rest of you looks fantastic. Like every typical German, after my A-levels I went for a year of work and travel in Australia. Of course, the main course there is the walk around Uluru. We drove there with our Outback guide on a lovely hot blue-skied day, but when we arrived the sky was suddenly one thick cloud that had come out of nowhere in seconds. The guide told us to get our jackets ready. That wasn't looking too good, but we were in Australia on an Outback tour, so of course we only had measly light rain jackets. They did nothing. I've never felt a downpour like that. Raindrops that felt like they were the size of my thumbnail. It only maybe rained for an hour or two of the 5-hour walk, but suddenly everything was waterfalls, rivers, and lakes. In Australia, in the Outback Desert, right at Uluru, where it only rains 1% of the days. I once went a perfect 5 for 5 in the final round of Elimination Flip Cup. A little more explanation. We had a Beer Olympics event with my buddies at school every winter. One of the top events is Elimination Flip Cup. You play 5 versus 5 and the losing team eliminates one of their players. But there are always 5 cups. So I had battled back into the final round and put together this gold-winning performance. That, on my first time drinking, I went batshit crazy on a big pop rock show in my city, entered in an air guitar tournament, won the thing, and did an interview for MTV. I'm way late to this, but I cracked the roulette wheel. I counted 26K. Congrats, by the way. Edit. My highest rated comments proof that I can't count lol. I think it was $29,000 at the time of the picture. I was there for another 2 days, so I kept playing and left with $25,000. I believe it was summer of 2003 when my wife, girlfriend at the time, and I were leaving Magic Kingdom at Disney World as it was starting to look like a storm was rolling in. There were the usual crowds, but otherwise everything was pretty uneventful when my girlfriend screamed, "Look, it's Michael Jackson!" We're pretty laid back and normally would just leave celebs alone, but this was too surprising, and we were in high school, so I snapped a few quick photos on a disposable camera. I was shocked by the lack of significant security as he was strolling down Main St. You can see kids behind him wearing disguises in one photo. He didn't need security. It's the Magic Kingdom. Nothing bad happens there. I lived next door to Gary Coleman during my childhood. What was that like? At first, it was very exciting because his family invited me to come on set and watch the taping of Different Strokes. He also hosted these fun parties and invited all the kids in the neighborhood. He had the most amazing toys and video game consoles at his home. There were times we would not see him for months because he was very sick with kidney problems. One of my sons flipped us the bird during the ultrasound. I shared it on Reddit a bit after it happened, and randomly ran across it on BuzzFeed posts a couple of times afterwards. That is a weird feeling. A few years ago, I shot an arrow into another arrow. Perfectly. I once saw a dog smoking a cigarette in Bangkok. I was on shore leave in Guam, had a few cocktails and saw a guy running with a water buffalo on a leash. I asked him if I could ride it, he obliged. The rest, as they say, was history. In a fit of desperation, some guy clutched onto my nutsack during a wrestling match. Now, with extra JPEG. Upon further reflection, perhaps he was just trying to find something to push me off of him and didn't intentionally do this, but he did in fact end up with a full handful of my nether bundle. Bonus points cause neither of our faces are showing. Hooray, sweet anonymity. Eat it. That last statement was not a challenge. I'm sure you could dox me if you really wanted to. Hanging out in the woods at our favorite drinking spot one late night at 17, taking turns on the huge rope swing, and my friend has a go, with pants down because drunk. The stick handle snaps, and he falls 20 feet onto his bare ass and face. Don't know how we managed to capture this perfect picture on my old 2005 Nokia. Easily could be a 90s album cover. I watched a 6-spotted fishing spider drag a baby largemouth bass out of the water and started eating it. Where was that at? I just want to know so I can avoid that place for the rest of my life. At my house in Texas, Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.